What's up, YouTube? You So Shiesty here. I got a good one for you. We got Bradley on his podcast, Dropping Bombs. He's hosting Dan Bilzarian, and they're getting into some real shit. So put your shit kickers on, get ready, and let's get into it. This is part 2, by the way, so if you haven't seen part 1, go check it out. Come back to me so you know what's going on. All right, here we go, boys.
Can't do this, you know, like if you really care about money or you're like really scared about, you know, dying or whatever, like you can't take this position. That's why I felt like I was in a unique place to do it.
Because you don't care if you go bankrupt?
It's not that I don't care. I definitely don't want that. But I feel like the risk is, I don't know, I just feel like it's the right thing, you know? And I think that, I think that if we don't do something about it now, it's going to get really bad. And I didn't pick this fight, you know, like I didn't.
It's going to get bad. Sounds pretty fucking bad already.
It's pretty bad, but like, I think it could be like.
It's really fucking bad. It's really bad.
Literal slavery almost. I mean, because the thing is, when Palantir gets in, they can predict everything that you're going to do. You know, like I asked ChatGPT the other day, like, and I don't talk to ChatGPT much. I ask it some random fucking Jew questions or whatever, but like, I asked it the other day to tell me about me, and it was like crazy spot on. And that's not taking into account every post I've ever made, every photo I've ever liked, you know, everything I've ever done on the internet, all the places I've been, you know, like whatever. Like when they take everything into account, I think they're going to be able to predict a lot.
Like Minority Report?
Exactly. You know, and I think they'll be able to crush any kind of potential resistance. And if they have this massive, you know, unjust power, which I believe that they do, I think that they will be able to preserve it better like that. However, I think if people all wake up, like if everybody woke up tomorrow
At
like,
once, yes.
it'd be over. Like it'd be over tomorrow.
Yeah, but that, how do you... The Constitution says we the people. I always say there's no more we the people. I mean, we exist, but we don't communicate, and there's no way to prove we communicated.
Yeah.
We do. I hear you, brother. There's a lot of like-minded individuals that are on the same exact page, and we might not communicate, but we all see what's going on, you know? We all see what's going on. And Dan Bilzarian's not kidding when he's talking about ChatGPT. I went on there a couple days ago and asked ChatGPT to give me a breakdown of my character. Chat knew me better than I knew myself, apparently. You know, it gave me an itemized list of all of my interests, you know, of my personality, of my thought process, of you know, my passions, my career, conversations we had that I've had with ChatGPT 3 months ago. You know, so it's just you know, it's mind-blowing when you realize just how much data, you know, in the wrong hands, which I'm sure it's in the wrong hands, you know, they are learning so much about the people and your thought process and how you're feeling about what's going on. They're absorbing all of that information in for a reason, you know, and it's not a good reason, I'll tell you that.
That's the problem too, the division. That's, you know, they attacked masculinity, they attacked whiteness, they attacked nationalism, they attacked moral fiber.
Nuclear family, yeah.
Yeah, all the things that we could agree on 10 years ago, like, hey, there shouldn't be a guy with his dick swinging in a fucking girl's locker room while my 10-year-old daughter's in there. Like, that was stuff that everybody could agree on. Now we can't. You know, minor attracted male, we used to call them fucking pedophiles and say, you know, lynch them outside. Now,
Can't say that word.
minor attracted males.
Cannot say that word, brother. He don't give a fuck, though. He's made his money. He don't care about none of that. I'll have to bleep that out, but he ain't kidding. He's right. He's right. What the fuck is a minor attracted male? You know? You're a sick, twisted individual, and you belong tied up on a tree behind my house where I could sit there and watch you rot and watch the birds peck at your eyes and shit. You know? These people don't deserve to be breathing the same air as us. And you guys, you know, everybody's so soft now. You guys have softened to an infantile stage almost. You know, this was the wild, wild west back in the day. You know, we're talking about a bunch of gunslingers and people who didn't give a shit about your opinion. You didn't have an opinion back then, because if you did, you got shot. You know, that funny thing that we did when we were kids, you know, I challenge you to a duel. You know, that shit wasn't a joke back then, you know? There was some real life consequences when they had duels. So, you know, we forget easily just how violent and capable we are of making a difference when we need to. But let's keep this going.
I haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah, minor attracted. Yeah, they have new words for it. And,
How
you know,
about
and did you just see the guy that? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where they fucking belong. Did you just see the guy? The Israeli, like he was high up. I think it was like in cybersecurity or something, that came to Vegas and he got caught trying to fuck a 14-year-old boy, and they arrested him and they let him out on bail, and he went back to Israel, and now nothing's gonna happen.
Okay, boys, so I pulled it up on my phone. Many Americans accused of you-know-what have fled to Israel, taking advantage of the law of return, which grants automatic citizenship to Jewish individuals and their families with minimal barriers. While criminal background checks exist, offenders can bypass these requirements in various ways, allowing them to evade justice. Walker, 2016. Jewish Community Watch, JCW, an American organization tracking these individuals, has been working to bring them to justice since 2014, but unfortunately nothing has occurred. Okay, hold on a second. You know, this was the wild, wild west back in the day. You know, we're talking about a bunch of gunslingers and people who didn't give a shit about your opinion. You didn't have an opinion back then, because if you did, you got shot.
The other day, like, and I don't talk to ChatGPT much. I ask it some random fucking Jew questions or whatever, but like, I asked it the other day to tell me about me, and it was like crazy spot on. And that's not taking into account every post I've ever made, every photo I've ever liked, you know, everything I've ever done on the internet, all the places I've been, you know, like whatever. Like when they take everything into account, I think they're going to be able to predict a lot.
Like Minority Report?
Exactly. You know, and I think they'll be able to crush any kind of potential resistance. And if they have this massive, you know, unjust power, which I believe that they do, I think that they will be able to preserve it better like that. However, I think if people all wake up, like if everybody woke up tomorrow
at once, yes,
it'd be over. Like it'd be over tomorrow.
Yeah, but how do you? The Constitution says we the people. I always say there's no more we the people. I mean, we exist, but we don't communicate. There's no way to prove we communicated.
Yeah,
we do. I hear you, brother. There's a lot of like-minded individuals that are on the same exact page, and we might not communicate, but we all see what's going on. You know, we all see what's going on. And Dan Bilzarian's not kidding when he's talking about ChatGPT. I went on there a couple days ago and asked ChatGPT to give me a breakdown of my character. Chat knew me better than I knew myself, apparently. You know, it gave me an itemized list of all of my interests, you know, of my personality, of my thought process, of you know, my passions, my career, conversations we had that I've had with ChatGPT 3 months ago. You know, so it's just you know, it's mind-blowing when you realize just how much data, you know, in the wrong hands, which I'm sure it's in the wrong hands. You know, they are learning so much about the people and your thought process and how you're feeling about what's going on. They're absorbing all of that information in for a reason, you know, and it's not a good reason, I'll tell you that.
That's the problem, too. The division. That's, you know, they attacked masculinity, they attacked whiteness, they attacked nationalism, they attacked moral fiber.
Nuclear family, yeah.
Yeah, all the things that we could agree on 10 years ago, like, hey, there shouldn't be a guy with his dick swinging in a fucking girl's locker room while my 10-year-old daughter's in there. Like, that was stuff that everybody could agree on. Now we can't. You know, minor attracted male, we used to call them fucking pedophiles and say, you know, lynch them outside. Now,
can't say that word.
Minor attracted males.
Cannot say that word, brother. He don't give a fuck, though. He's made his money. He don't care about none of that. I'll have to bleep that out, but he ain't kidding. He's right. He's right. What the fuck is a minor attracted male, you know? You're a sick, twisted individual, and you belong tied up on a tree behind my house where I could sit there and watch you rot and watch the birds peck at your eyes and shit. You know, these people don't deserve to be breathing the same air as us. And you guys, you know, everybody's so soft now.
New words for it. And, you know, did you see the guy that, yeah, exactly, yeah, where they fucking belong. Did you just see the guy, the Israeli, like he was high up, I think it was like in cybersecurity or something, that came to Vegas and he got caught trying to fuck a 14-year-old boy and they arrested him and they let him out on bail and he went back to Israel and now nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, I've looked that up. International, the laws over there in Israel protect them. So, what's the name of that law? What is the name of that Israeli law that protects pedos? Here it is. Okay. Failures in Israel's legal system, particularly around pedo, expose deep-rooted justice and accountability issues affecting society. Offenders exploit Israel's law of return. It's called law of return. And, yeah, they exploit Israel's law of return to evade consequences. What do we got here? Many accused American pedos have fled to Israel, taking advantage of the law of return, which grants automatic citizenship to Jewish individuals and their families with minimal barriers. While criminal background checks exist, offenders can bypass these requirements in various ways, allowing them to evade justice. That's Walker, 2016. I guess they're reciting. Ain't that some bullshit? So they come over here, they touch up our kids, and then they go back there and act like it never happened. It's probably like throwing in a bonus for them. They're like, oh yeah, come to America, do business. Here, we got a couple kids for you, and then we'll send you on your merry way. You know, no, don't worry about all these peasants. You know, we'll just And we also we run something called CPS where we take their children too. Yes, we do that. So would you like to adopt one? Maybe you want to take one back with you. You know what I mean? I'm not far off, and you know it. So.
Yeah, look that up. Yeah, this was in Vegas.
Well, the October 1st shooting, you were involved.
As a matter of fact, did you guys see the report that 85% of all CPS cases in a certain state, there was just something that they just had an article on it. Let's see if I can pull that up real quick, guys. Hold on a second. Okay, so according to search results, approximately 76 to 80% of child welfare investigations are found to be unsubstantiated or without evidence of abuse or neglect. Other reports indicate that as many as 84% of child removals are not related to any physical harm to the child, but rather other, often neglect-related allegations. So, you know, the stuff that they make up. But, isn't that wild? Boy. America, man, you know? Gotta love it. That's how you know we're not running it, boys. That's how you know, because none of us real men would ever do some shit like that.
New words for it, and you know, did you just see the guy that? But I don't know what. You know, I don't know what that was about. So I really can't say. I just know that I don't trust the government. The problem is, like, I don't believe what they tell me anymore, and I know that they don't have my best interest in mind, and that was very clear after COVID.
So why don't you run?
I think I should. I think you should.
I think you should.
Yeah.
I want someone to get in there that will fucking do the right thing.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
again,
we're losing them. Like, we had fucking Massey, right? And well, we still have Massey, but like we just lost Green. She just resigned.
Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
She just resigned.
And Trump said that's a good thing for America. What's your take on that?
Well, I know that the moment he attacked Massey, the moment he said the Epstein thing was a hoax, I knew he was a fucking sellout piece of shit. But when
ain't that the fucking truth? That's well, the moment he put his hand on the Wailing Wall, I knew he was a sellout. But the Epstein files were just, you know, that was the nail in the coffin for me.
He attacked Massey, that was when it was like unequivocally confirmed, because that's a litmus test. Massey is a really good guy, and he is on the right side of it. He's trying to, you know, get the Epstein files released. Like, he's trying to close the borders. He's trying to end the Fed. He's on the right side of all the stuff. He doesn't take AIPAC money. He's a good dude. And when Trump attacked him, I was like, okay, like, Trump is definitely a piece of shit.
Compromised.
100%.
See, that's the whole thing. You can tell, in my opinion, when they're compromised with the Epstein list, because in my opinion,
he's like, why are we going after pedophiles? Like, what the fuck? Why would that even be a question?
And that it also proves what I just said. Like, we the people want that shit released, but a few fucking people determined that they're not. Well,
Yeah.
who the fuck are they?
Yeah, and is
Exactly.
that really a democracy at this point, you know?
They hit it right on the head right there. It's not democracy. It's not. When you're telling us that you're concealing things for our benefit, yeah, it's always the opposite. It's always, you know, it's always they're protecting themselves, not us. And who the fuck are you to tell me you need to protect me from something? I'm not a baby. I'm in charge of protecting my family and mine around me, and you're going to tell me that you're not releasing files in my best interest? No, you stupid piece of shit. It's in your best interest because you're a fucking diddler.
For you, we elected your asses, and now they're determining whether or not we can see a list. I think the list needs to be released, unredacted, and let it be. And I don't understand why any decision not to is substantiated with anything.
Well, and the JFK stuff. Like, how the fuck do we not have the right to know who killed our sitting president? Like, national security, fuck you. Like, everybody should know who killed the sitting president. I don't give a fuck who it embarrasses. I don't care. And
Who do you think it was?
I think it was Israel. I think it was Israel. I think it was the Jewish mafia. I think it was like a coordinated effort, whatever.
Well, there's major plays involved. When they won't release it, it's because it would still affect something they have going on today. I want you to think about that. Food. You know, we're $30 trillion, you know, we have $30 trillion worth of national debt, nothing to show for it. No health care, you know, there's no land promised to you know, all of the you know, citizens of this country. There's absolutely nothing going for the people. They're treating you like peasants. They're trying to do away with the middle class completely and just make it the rich and the poor. This way they can control you that much more. You know, once you make that shift and you have people up here and people down there, you know, the people down here are there's nothing but, you know, suffering and
Muslim
and hardship, while these people up here are living their best life. You know, that they're taking up all of the amenities, all of the benefits, and they're just enjoying everything to the fullest while these people down here suffer and go through hardship. I mean, just think about that. That's what they're aiming for here.
Problem, and a lot of them are fucking retards. I'm not saying they're not, but like they are fed these talking points. They're not those talking points aren't coming from some guy on the left that just decides. It's like, no, this comes from the media. This comes from the Jewish media.
Yeah.
And so,
and you got to understand that a lot of these people are entwined in these systems. They're it's not just people at the top eating. They have a whole they have a whole little triangle of people, an upside down triangle of people that trickles down. You have the breadwinners up here, and then you have the CEOs, and then you have your branch and all the people that work for that company. So they're being fed this, and they have to go along with it because they don't want to lose their cushiony $140,000 a year. They conform to it, but.
And I think the left realizes Israel. It's funny that the things that the right and the left are coming together on are the exact things that politicians are coming together on the other side of it, right? Like the right and the left, they can't agree on anything politics-wise, the politicians, except for Israel. They all fucking support Israel. Now, the people
on the Antarctica.
Yeah, and the people on the right and the left can't fucking agree on anything, except for we should not be funding Israel. We should not be helping the genocide, right? So like, the unifying issues of the people are similar to the unifying issues of the politicians. However, we're just on the opposite side. And I think that's a pretty good litmus test of like whether or not our politicians are corrupt. I think it's unequivocal. And the problem is you've got a system where they get in office and their motivation is not what's best for the country. Their motivation is what is best for me as a politician. Like how can I benefit? How can I benefit my donors? And when you have a system set up like that, where you're not paying them a lot, and the way that they can get ahead is to use their power, and the way to use their power to monetize is never going to be to do the right thing.
No.
So you have a system that's like almost guaranteed to be corrupt. And so that's why I think that if we don't put some senators and congressmen and whatever into office in the next couple of years, I think we're fucked.
Yeah.
Maybe fucked anyways, Maybe we need Jesus to come back and save us. I don't know. But I say it doesn't look good, because when politicians are openly covering up for pedophiles, when they are putting a foreign nation before our own nation, like these are things that it's like really blatant. You gotta be really cocky to be doing this kind of shit in broad daylight.
I have a buddy of mine that was Green Beret. He's trying to get a contract with the state of Tennessee. He sends me this blurb at the bottom of the contract with the state of Tennessee that says, by signing this agreement for a government contract, state contract, you agree not to go against Israel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, see, that doesn't make any sense to me. Why would
boycotting Israel is like illegal?
But why would the state of Tennessee care if someone has a beef with Israel?
Yeah, exactly.
So it leads me down that rabbit hole, and then I hear.
Yeah, I just found that out recently, that boycotting Israel is illegal. Now, anytime that you have restrictions or laws in place like that, you have a serious problem. That impedes on our freedom right there. If we want to boycott something, we have the right to do so, and the government doesn't have a right to infringe on our rights and our freedom because we don't want to fuck with the country or a demographic of people or anything like that. That all impedes on your freedoms. You're allowed to do whatever you want to do. This is a free country. It's a free, it's just. I don't know. I really don't know what else to say on that.
Not just you, tons of people that come up with the same information. And I'm always like, where are you getting your facts? Because I want to go confirm myself.
Yeah.
Where are you getting these facts?
Well, it depends on the subject. Give me a subject and I'll tell you where to find the information.
Well, for example, you just tweeted, I think, on X that DHS is based in Israel. How's the Department of Homeland Security's official account, based in Israel?
Yeah, I mean, that's directly from X.
And you think Elon fucking knows what he's doing when he does shit like that?
Here's the thing about Elon. I think he's done a lot of good.
Elon's playing the game. He has to. He's shaking hands with the same people that Trump's shaking hands with,
I also think he has to play the game a little bit. I mean, look, he was the guy that tweeted, when somebody said...
I agree.
Something to the effect of almost all the attacks on being white are coming from the Jewish community. He responded with, this is the actual truth. And people went crazy about that.
Oh,
right?
wow.
They were going to pull his sponsors, and that was when he went on that whole thing, like, fuck you, Bob Iger, or whatever. Like, I'm going to, say what I want to say, and, if you guys want to pull out, you can pull out, and Twitter lost a bunch of money. And
wow.
I don't know, shortly thereafter, they marched him over to Israel, and then all of a sudden he changed his tune and, this, that, and the other. But I think he knows. It's just like one of those things where maybe he's looking at it from the standpoint, maybe he's being somewhat selfish and like, hey, I want to live and I want, to have $500 billion and I want to be able to do what I want to do and I want to send rockets into space or whatever the fuck his like things are that he cares about. And he feels like, that stuff is more important, whatever. Or he also, could rationalize it and saying, hey, I've done a lot of good. And if I want to continue doing good, I got to play the game a little bit. That's where I think a lot.
Yeah, because you'll have an accident, you'll have an accident or you get hit with the heart attack dart,
They backwards rationalize out how they personally cannot be affected, and like their rationalizations, like, well, I want to have a strong impact, but I can't do that if I'm broke, or I can't do that if I'm this, so I got to play the game.
A little bit.
That's where a lot of people land, And
I've been there, especially when they were first starting to suppress. I'm like,
I get it.
Well, dude, if they kick me the fuck off the internet, then what can I do?
I get it. No, I totally get it, man, and I understand that, and I'm not talking shit. I totally understand that position, and it is absolutely rationalizable, and it makes perfect sense because, to your point, if they kick you, are you going to have a stronger effect having a podcast, but kind of crafting the message a little bit, or just going fucking balls to the wall and then being canceled off the internet, and now you don't get to say anything?
Yeah.
So I understand. I definitely get what you're saying. It's just a slippery slope, right? Because then if everybody's kind of also playing the game, it's tough too, So I get it, and that's what I'm saying with Elon. Are we better off if they just, what if he just went balls to the wall and they killed him? Maybe the argument is that a lot of people wake up from that. The other argument is, well, what if we lost? Actually, would we be worse off? Right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like hard to say, man. And a part of it is, some of these people, feel like they have to play the game. That's been the whole Trump thing. Is like everybody's like, oh, Trump's playing 5D chess, and you still have hope.
Yeah, I don't know.
Trump's compromised.
100%.
Yeah,
You can't go after Massey. Like, listen, like the Israel thing, like, you could make arguments for like he's just playing the game there. He's a piece of.
When you see them like this,
fry him, or you could come up with some like thing, but like going after Massey, and also the Epstein thing on top of it, and bombing Iran, I don't think. Look, I guess time will tell. I mean, anything is possible, but I would say it's like a super low probability. I also think Trump is like a, pretty normally selfish guy. Like he does.
And now we have a distraction with Greenland currently, where they're not backing down. And I think they are really serious about that, and I think that, something's going to happen with that, and that may lead to, a war or something in itself, because Denmark's not just going to lay down and let America take that, and it's going to break apart NATO. And America really, I don't know if I know we're super powerful and we could take on multiple countries at one time. I'm pretty sure, but is Greenland worth all that? Is it worth all that? There was a gentleman from Denmark, and he was talking to the news anchor and telling him, I don't know why they want to attack us. We've been very friendly with America for 250 years. We've never had a problem. They have always had full access to Greenland. They can have as many bases as they want there. We don't care. At one point they had a shit ton of bases, 250 of them, I believe. And he said now we've pulled out and we only have one base. But he's like, you could load them bases up again. They're still there. He's like, we've taken care of the runways and whatnot, so you can land planes there. That He's like, we don't want any problems, but we're not just going to give up our land, And he's like, we got people there we got to protect. I understand it, and I'm not sure where, what the angle is on that. I'm still digging into that. So, to be continued on that one.
He's care about himself. I think he went into office with 36 convictions. He was in debt, and now it's like his kids are all multimillionaires. He's doing good. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, get it. Not everybody wants to just say fuck you and fucking set their life on fire. I don't expect them to,
Well, unless it helped.
Even if it helped, I don't think most people would do it.
No, I would if it helped. Like if I could, if I had to sacrifice, but man, I was the linchpin that brought it all down, and they got a statue of me somewhere, and the fucking world is saved because I did something. I would do it. The problem is, I speak up, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm bankrupted, I'm silenced, and now I'm telling everybody in my neighborhood, no one gives a fuck.
Gives a shit,
and no one even in Illinois hears what I'm saying. So it's like they can literally silence you because the news comes from social media and the media. And as soon
they control everything. There's nothing you can do. The news, the social media, like you're saying, they control it all. So as soon as you step out of place and act up, they'll teach you real quick to shut your mouth. And then no one's going to care, like he's saying. Then you're just fucked. You're completely fucked. So, it is a slippery slope, and unless everybody's going to jump, you can't just go talking about shit, you know. So he's completely right on that. Completely right.
When is you not on there? Like, dude, there's people that died today, and no one knows.
Yeah.
And no one will ever know. So I always think to myself, you got to play the game a little bit, just so you're at least a operative of the rebellion.
I get it. I totally understand. And I'm not arguing with you. And I think it would be ridiculous to expect people to do, crazy sacrifices.
But dude, you have a more legitimate, I would say, shot at becoming president than, because you have the notoriety.
Yeah, I think at this point, I don't want to do it. I want to be in Thailand, fucking 3 hours and doing mushrooms on a beach. That's what I want to do. Fucking senator, congressman, or any of that shit.
Why not just straight up president?
Well, that's not for. I think that's the ultimate, changer of policy and whatever. I mean, that should be the ultimate goal if you want to enact change. But that's not for another 3 years. I think in the interim, you have to do something as well. If for no other reason than just having those conversations on a large scale, on mainstream media. I think the people that are not awake are the older generation. The problem is the older generation is the one that votes a lot more. And so, although I will say, I think, especially with the mail-in ballots, I think that these issues are something that could actually get young. They always talk about getting young voters out and, this is going to be the thing and they're going to come out and vote for me, and then they never fucking do. I actually think that this is a time when the young voters might actually come out and start voting when they never have before, because people really care about this shit. To protest, and they're protesting all around the world. I mean, I've never gone to a protest and I really fucking care. Like, I was willing to fucking die for this shit, and I'm not out protesting. So I think.
Yeah, I've never been to one either.
When you've got people that are pissed off enough to go protest, they'll fill in a mail-in ballot, because protesting is probably pretty fucking boring.
You think there should be mail-in ballots?
I think there is in Vegas.
I don't think there should be.
I don't think there should be either. I think the whole voting system needs to be changed. I think that, Trump had spotters. I think that you need groups of individuals that, from opposite sides or, maybe 3 parties to witness, everybody vote. And then, I think it should all be monitored. It should all be recorded. They should have cameras on all of the ballots, multiple angles while they're being counted. I think it should be broadcasted to the public so they could watch it as it's happening, as it's unfolding. No behind the doors closed shit. If you're voting on, anything, concerning politics in America, everything should be witnessed by the public, and then there's no issue. That's truly what I believe.
I think you should
agree.
show your ID.
100%.
And then when they're like against that, again, corrupt. Like,
100%.
Of course you're against it, motherfucker. But I can't buy a beer without ID. I can't buy Zyn.
I think double voting should be punishable by 10 years in prison. That'll stop any of that real quick. If they have you on 2 separate cameras voting or something like that, or voting in 2 states or anything like that, I think that you should serve a mandatory 5 or 10 years. That'll teach people to not do shit like that. It's not really the people though; it's the politicians. But we're not going to get too far into that. You guys know. You watch the news.
Without ID, even me, and dude, clearly I am of age. So the law says you must card them.
As you should. I mean, they had dead people voting.
Yeah, but why not a vote? Like a vote, you have to be from here.
Yep.
And you have to show ID. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, we the people, I think, all agree.
Well, they used COVID. That was their excuse. That was the way to weasel out of that. Is like, oh, well, we can't have people come in because it's not safe, and so we have to do the mail-in ballots and blah blah blah. And that was their excuse. COVID was used to sneak a lot of things in, and
make a shit ton of money.
A shit ton of money.
Yeah.
When I look at who was the head of the CDC, Rochelle Walensky, Jew, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. You look at the people that were head of Pfizer, all these different COVID corporations that were pushing this. It was predominantly Jewish, dual citizenship with Israel.
I renovated a kitchen for a gentleman that ran 3 CDCs down south, and the kitchen I renovated had 120 cabinets. No shit, 120 cabinets. So they're all making bank, all of them.
And then you look also then what RFK said, which is, Jews and Chinese are less susceptible to this fucking bioweapon that was absolutely manufactured in China. And remember when they fucking crucified Trump for saying that? It's like he said China, or whatever. They're like, that's fucking racist, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden we found out it was from China, and then there was this is ridiculous to say this was, from a lab. And it's like, it was from the Wuhan lab, So after somebody gaslights the fuck out of you, which is what was happening during COVID, with the ivermectin thing with Joe Rogan, like they were calling him a fucking jackass using horse dewormer. They even put him on the screen with like a yellower tint or whatever to make him look bad, or white or whatever.
Yeah.
And you look at this stuff, it's like if a girl cheats on you, dude. You know what I mean? Like once a girl cheats on you, it's really hard to trust her. You catch her cheating on you multiple times. Like you're just a fucking retard if you continue to trust this girl. Well, no different than the government. Like we've caught them lying to us so many times. Like how are we supposed to trust them? And the government is literally
the government is for the streets.
Supposed to have been put in place to, benefit the people, to, operate for the people. It's not like the government is like some separate entity that's like operating in its own self-interest. No, like that was put there to help the people govern or whatever. And it's just, it's not what's going on.
Candace Owens, do you think those threats against her are legit? She has something to worry about? And do you think you might get in the same situation?
Oh, I've definitely had threats. And I think after Charlie Kirk, we all know it's legit.
Yeah.
Israel has a history of assassinating fucking more people than, I don't know, any other country that I've heard of per capita. It's not even close, right?
Well, we're not liked as white men. We're not liked, white Christian men. They're frowned upon.
How many people they assassinate with pagers and they kill other people? They like bombed a fucking embassy. They're fucking launching missiles into fucking Qatar to kill people. It's just like they killed negotiators. Like they're absolute terrorists.
Well, then why don't they
Let me tell you something.
The Israelis?
Yeah, like because again, I'm open-minded, so I always listen to guys like you, and then the guys that are against you, and I'm like just listening. And there's some things that make sense, and there's some things that make sense on both sides. Like for example, if you weren't if Jews or it's not the Israeli government, obviously, and there's a difference there, obviously. Yep. Jewish people are not Israel.
Yep.
But why do they leave you up online? You still have an Instagram, millions of followers. Why don't they just clip your ass? Why don't they kick you off Facebook? Why don't they just silence you online-wise if they own it? Because they want
question.
to.
They did it to Kanye. They did it to Fuentes. They did it to
Trump.
Yeah, exactly. They've definitely done it to a lot of people.
Well, he's not really throwing out hate speech is what the thing is. He's just basically talking about Israel as the country and, things that are going on. So I haven't heard him say anything, and I'm being careful when I'm speaking as well. Because I don't have $30 million like this guy does, and, I don't have whatever he has. So, I'm trying to make some money, put some money in the bank. So obviously I'm not going to overstep right now, but I haven't heard him say anything that was too outlandish, and that's why he's still online.
People, I think that,
or why haven't they killed you? So that's why I always think
well, I think that the killing question I was wondering as well, but I also think that you get some level of support, like some level of protection when you're screaming it from the rooftops. The guy that's the most likely to get smoked is a guy like Charlie Kirk that was, gonna turn on Israel, because you got to kill him before he turns. Because the moment he turns, if he turns and then you kill him.
Charlie Kirk was about to create a storm for them. He's got a massive following. So him turning on them was going to be, that was going to be the final nail in the coffin for America. And they knew it too, they're doing things like spying on our Christian, churches and whatnot. They're I don't know if you guys heard, they use the geo networking or geo something it's called. And, it follows phone pings. So when you have service, your phone gets pinged and it goes to the tower. And they were using the geo networking, whatever it's called, damn it, to track and our American government knows about it. They filed this on FARA. I just read about this. They filed this on FARA, the Foreign Affairs, and the U.S. I think it was a contract, and then the U.S. was either paying them or receiving money for it, one of the two. But yeah, you'll have to fact check that. I'm not sure about the information, but I know they were geo networking or geo something, and that shit's just crazy.
That looks really bad. It's kind of like this game where we used to play where it's like, there's 3 people in a group and they're working against the larger group, and the larger group doesn't know who the 3 people are, and it's one of these things where it's basically like bluffing and lying. And what you learn is that the small group, when they work together, they can usually beat the large group if the large group doesn't know who they are. And one of the things that you learn in the game is like, if you accuse one of the people in the small group, like, hey, this guy's a fucking Jew, whatever. And then, when you go to sleep, if the next day you wake up and you're fucking dead, people are going to look at the last person you fucking pointed to. So if you're pointing to the wrong person, they can kill you, and it's like no problem. Like Charlie Kirk, you know, he was a supporter of Israel right before he died, according to, you know, the mainstream. So you can kill him and now martyr him and say, hey, like, I mean, what did Netanyahu come out and say? Like, we didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is a friend of Israel, this, that, and the other. And then you find out that, like,
fucking geofencing. They were geofencing AZ Christians. Geofencing AZ Christians with anti-Palestinian ads. Isn't that crazy? Wow. Holy shit. Huh.
You know, they offered him like $100 million and he said no, and he was going to turn on Israel, and he was, you know, his donors were pulling out, and like you see the text messages, Candace posted all this shit, and that's the most dangerous time. If you're going to turn, you better be fucking loud. Don't leave that like weak window when they know you're going to turn and you haven't said anything, because that's when you're really in danger. And that's why they killed Charlie Kirk so fucking fast, is because they knew if they didn't and he came out vocally against Israel, it'd be really difficult to do that.
So who do you think's behind Charlie Kirk?
I think that was probably Mossad. You know,
well, you see all the videos of the dude, you know, pulling his sleeve and pop, and at the exact time, there's too many unanswered questions. But then again,
well, why the fuck don't we have the autopsy?
It's very suspicious, very weird behavior. And then, you know, obviously everybody knows what's going around on the internet about the wife, and you know, there's just a lot of allegations out there. There's a lot of people saying a lot of things, a lot of conspiracies, and you know, flooding the internet with conspiracies. There's a lot of shit being said about her. I don't even know what I can say about her on here. You know, I don't want to get a lawsuit slapped on me, so I'm not going to go too far. But other people are willing to talk about her.
Why is this not like public information? You know, why did they cover up the fucking crime scene immediately?
And
like,
reconstruct it, like, yeah, literally
why
tear
is
it
she
apart.
fucking hosting a WW?
Yeah, the one dude reached up, grabbed the camera right away and shit. You know, the one that was right behind Charlie Kirk. The other guy's reaching down and like grabbing shit off of his vest, and you know, then another guy comes over, he's nodding and looking around and being suspicious. There was a lot of weird behavior going on. A lot.
E-style fucking event like 2-3 days later. Like, this, what is going on? Like, if my fucking husband got killed on national television and I've got fucking children, the last thing I'm gonna be doing is fucking coming out with fireworks and fucking giving big speeches and all this shit. Like, seems very weird, dude. You know, that's one more thing that, you know,
Absolutely.
I don't know, so I'm not gonna say like, you know, this happened or whatever. But why the fuck don't we have any answers? You know, if this is the 30-06, like, okay, where's the fucking bullet? You know, does the bullet match?
And then I'm hearing that the, I don't know who she is. I don't know her name, but I'm hearing that the, I'll find out. Hold on.
It's the gun.
That's right.
The first...
All right, guys, I got it. Stacy Sheridan, Senior Advancement Director for Turning Point USA. Charlie was actually in the process of doing some sort of audit, from what I've heard, and I don't know. There's a lot of controversy around this lady, Stacy Sheridan. I can't make any accusations. I don't know shit about it, but I've heard some things on the internet about this lady. You know, do some research, look it up.
First thing I want to know, how the fuck do you not have the bullet? There's no exit wound. That bullet has to be in his body. So you have to get that bullet out, and then you have to match that bullet to that gun. Which, by the way, like, makes no sense either, that a person is going to disassemble a bolt-action rifle. Like, what do you save on that? 8 inches? 10 inches? It's still a fucking big gun. Why are you gonna fucking take a screwdriver and unscrew that thing and then put it back together or leave it in the woods? Like, the whole story makes no fucking sense, you know? And I look at it and I'm just like, okay, if this is the way that you said it is, then prove it. You know, that's how the court of law is supposed to work. Like, you're supposed to get a bullet, you're supposed to do the forensic, you know, evidence on the bullet and match it to the rifle. And, you know, it's like, okay, now we have a murder weapon. Now this weapon is attached to this guy. You know, that's how a case normally goes. But, you know, they did an autopsy report. Nobody gets to see it. The body's fucking, you know, cremated or gone or buried or whatever. And it's like, yeah. The crime scene's completely fucking destroyed.
Yep.
You know, no talk about it at all. Like,
but how much cooperation would have to be in order for that to be just
didn't
covered up?
Didn't they fire the head of the FBI in Utah like the week prior or something like that?
Where they brought one in, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, brought one in, replaced, whatever. I mean, like, I don't know. You know, I don't know. Like, I mean, it depends on who did it, and if, you know, and if the goal is just to look the other way. I mean, you know, there's certainly a lot of evidence. I mean, they've got all the cameras, they've got all this stuff. They supposedly have the murder weapon. They have the kid. I haven't heard a word from this fucking kid. You know, I haven't heard anything about it. You know, according to them, you know, he confessed, and now he didn't confess, and his dad turned him in, and then there was some Jewish guy in the crowd that was also at 9/11, was also at like these other things that like ran around saying, hey, I'm the shooter, and like did a big distraction. Like, that seems fucking weird. Like, who does that? Like, somebody dies, like, who?
And then the dad supposedly had ties to somebody in politics or something like that. There's so much shit going on around that Charlie Kirk thing, man. So much shit.
Who the fuck just jumps up and says, hey, I killed him? what?
A paid distraction.
Yeah, like it's just really fucking weird, dude. It doesn't make sense. And so clearly it was like politically motivated. It's like a public execution. I don't know why this isn't something that like we're getting all this information. It shouldn't be a secret. Like,
Well, you've heard of Occam's razor, I'm sure,
I haven't.
where it's like whatever is obviously what happened is probably what happened.
Yep.
Charlie Kirk is JFK 2025 without being a president, you know? I mean, he had just as much influence. All right, boys, I hope you enjoyed part 2. Give me a like, please. Give me a like, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and come back and check tomorrow, because I'm going to do a part 3 to this. It'll probably be an hour and a half long, and that'll finish this one off, and then we'll move on to the next thing. I think the next podcast interview I'm doing is Tucker Carlson and Theo Von, but we'll see. There's a couple to choose from. Every day it's going to be something interesting. I'm also going to drop some short videos as well, so stay tuned, and I fucks with you. Later.